Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you're having a good one. So, there's a lot going on. There was so much going on that I could not fit it all into the Crypto Minute. Sorry. Now, what do we have right now? What we have is Circle's USDC as well as Circle's EURC, both stablecoins, obviously one pegged by the dollar, the other one pegged by the euro. Now, the big deal that's going on right now is because they are MiCA compliant, they're seeing more use versus non-compliant stablecoins. I'm expecting that growth to continue. So when you start to think about other stablecoins coming into the market, think Real USD or RLUSD from Ripple. As Circle grows, now you can see that bar being lifted that the new stablecoins would have to meet. That's going to be very interesting to watch to actually play out. So I'm sitting back and I'm just thinking, what's the purpose of Real USD or a stablecoin coming out of Ripple? And then I compare that to what's the real use of XRP. And I sit there and I go, they could both have use cases. But I seem to think that XRP is going to wind up being the forgotten child after this bull run. I know, right? Sounds odd. I don't think it's odd. I think that after this bull run, XRP will play a very muted role, if any, in the future of Ripple. It's decentralized now, so it doesn't need Ripple. So we need the XRP army to actually big up XRP. What projects are going on XRP? Who's developing XRP? What's going on with XRP that's creating demand? Because it's not Ripple. So I think all ships will rise during this current bull run, but I think after that, we'd have to see more effort from the XRP army to see XRP rise. Straight up, simple. What else is going on? Uniswap Labs. Wow. Okay, I want you to pay attention to this. So last week we had, basically turnover of the Chevron law, right? Now, that means that government agencies seem to have less authority to translate the law, which means, that's right, enforce the law. So that means that Uniswap was able to cite that Chevron ruling by the Supreme Court of the United States to say, listen, you don't have the authority to make that kind of a DeFi rule, that kind of a DeFi regulation. Nope. So they're challenging. And guess what? This is going to be one of the ramifications of, that SCOTUS ruling. Because, truth be told, you cannot interpret the law like that. What it means is that you would have to go to Congress and beg Congress to, right that ship if you're the SEC. And that's not going to be easy. Congress hasn't been doing anything for years. So that's a very big deal. That's a very big deal. I think Uniswap could win that. So hat tip to the Uniswap's legal team for catching that and being able to say, oh, no, we can use that immediately. Thank you. I think you're going to see a lot of regulations wind up getting rolled back. And some of them will be good. The bulk of them will be bad. Straight up. Now, something else that we're paying attention to. So Jerome Powell out there, during his testimony yesterday, and I spoke about it last night during the lives, you should really tune into the lives. You really should. Because we have some seriously lively conversations about what's going on that can affect our bags. But during last night's live, I had said, listen, I don't think Powell could have been any more dovish than he was. He completely set the stage for a rate decrease. He absolutely set the stage for it. So the question is, will it be August, which I don't think it will, and I'll tell you why in a minute, or will it be September? Right? Now, September seems more likely to me because everybody's coming back, right? Because August is vacation month. It really is. In the United States, August is the biggest vacation month there is. Well, maybe not the biggest, but in the summer, it's the biggest. So I'm sitting here and I'm just going, we should think about that, right? I was listening to somebody else and they pointed out this one fact. If you put everything out there in September, that only gives October, before we're talking about before the U.S. elections, you only have October for it to take hold and actually have an effect. Is that a long enough runway to have a positive effect before the November election? And there's the case for an August decrease. A September decrease makes sense to me because everybody's on vacation, but you do have to layer on top of a normal time of year that this is an election year, and yeah, all things change in an election year. And I think people forget that the economy is actually doing well, very well. The difference is that companies being greedy, and you have greedflation going on in a lot of cases. It's not inflation, it's greedflation. There's a difference. Go look it up. But those are the impacts. But Jerome Powell clearly laid everything out for a rate decrease probably within the next 3 months. July, August, September, within the next 2 months. Okay? So Bitcoin's reacting to that. You want to know something else that Bitcoin's reacting to? And I mentioned this last night as well. Germany had this much Bitcoin rather, to offload. Or this municipality in Germany had this much to offload. They offloaded about half of that already. They're looking to offload even more now. So the impact is decreased. With every time they sell, the impact is going to decrease because you can start to see the finish line. Well, now we can clearly see that finish line. There was a lot of confusion over what was going on, even on my side, and that's why I kept doing research, is because it's not Germany, the country, that was selling. There was a German state that was selling by obligation. Somebody had mentioned that to me, and I was like, is that true? Had to dig deep. So I forgot who it was. So if you're listening, please, thank you. Right? They said, no, by obligation, they have to sell it. So on one side, you had that municipality selling, and then you had the German government at the state level buy some back at the lower price. So Germany was listening. The municipality wasn't, but maybe their hands are tied, or it's sounding like their hands are tied. So you're starting to see that diminishing effect. It's not as steep as it was. Now it's kind of edging off, and we're probably right about here. And then you'll wind up going like this. So my poll, I try to do a poll every night. Every now and then I miss, but I try to do a poll every night. My poll last night was, do you have any dry powder? Yes, no, or within the next 10 days. Here's why I'm asking. Because right now I think it's a dry powder moment. I think that we might have, if we're not at the bottom, we're close. I think we've already seen the bottom. I think we've already seen the bottom. If we've already seen the bottom, what's next? No handcuffs. What's the next macro event? The United States isn't selling you at, BTC. Not en masse, not like that. They're holding on. The United States government seems to be holding. They did sell a little bit, a couple of weeks ago, but right now they seem to be holding. And if they're holding, well, that means no risk there. I mean, there's still a risk, but there's no issue there, right? Which means that I think everything's going to wind up going up. So what happened? Went out and snatched up some Cardano, snatching some BTC. Why is that? Look at Cardano. Cardano has a chance of, going up multiples. If Cardano goes over, what is that, 38, call it 39 cents this morning. It doubles, it goes to 78 cents. Do I see 78 cents by the end of the year with everything that Cardano has going on, including a new game, Chrono Shot, on, in the Epic Games Store? Yeah. Why? Because Cardano is rapidly moving toward decentralization. Rapidly. Which means that it would be controlled the Constitution will be controlled by a decentralized body. The chain hard fork is already in process. That's a part of the Voltaire phase. That's going to be big. That's going to offer a lot of developmental ideas, features, and tools to the Cardano platform. So I think you're going to see a lot of growth there. A lot. Their interoperability with other chains is also huge. So I'm thinking Cardano could double or triple fairly quickly. But that wasn't my math. My math was it would take 3.9 cents for Cardano to go up 10%. What are the chances? So call it 4 cents, 39 cents, 4 cents. What are the chances of Cardano hitting 43 in the next 2 weeks? I think they're pretty high. That's 10%. I'm not going to get 10% in a year from a bank. But I can score 10% in a couple of weeks on Cardano. So I'm looking at different coins that I believe can give me multiples by the end of the year. I have a different strategy for 2025 where I'm a lot more alert. But for 2024, to me, it's buying season. Right? I might shave some profits here and there, put it back in the coffers, because when I shave profits, part of those profits go back to family, part of those profits go into dry powder, because I've used a lot of dry powder. So I've got to replenish that, and that's one of the ways I replenish. The other way that I replenish my dry powder is to do exactly this. You have a DCA strategy, right? And then I take my DCA strategy and I say, okay, 90% of it is going to go out. The other 10% goes to dry powder. The reason why I do that is I'm investing in myself or paying myself first. So I'm willing to make the sacrifice of not eating at all today or not eating as well as I will tomorrow. That's the sacrifice I'm making. Right? I'm not living for the first name. I'm living for the last name. So if I'm living for the last name, everything has a long-term view. What's the effect on the long term? That also means that I'm paying more attention to opportunities to snatch profit without damaging the portfolio. Something goes up, snatch profit. It comes down, put a little back in. But it's going to be a different strategy next year because I'll be waiting for things to go down. I think the first half of the year is going to be great, and I'm going to prepare myself for the second half of the year. That's honestly the way I look at it. Right? The only thing that we have next year is the debt ceiling. So far, it's the debt ceiling. What else do we have going on? So, Bitwise has a problem, a $2 million problem. They're being sued by, what's the name of this company? Vandelay Industries. Vandelay Industries is alleging financial misconduct related to the Bitwise HOLD 10 private index fund. Ooh. I was reading the article, and one of the terms that they used was actually pump and dump. Wow. Now, I've never heard something like that going up against Bitwise, but now there is. That's a $2 million lawsuit. Is it huge? No, but it's still millions. It's still millions. Remember, when I was a kid, 2 million used to mean something. Now it's kind of like, even though I don't have it, it's still like kind of like, You hear 2 billion and you're like, wow. So $2 billion today in my head is what $2 million was when I was a kid. Just think about that. That's interesting. Something else that I found interesting. The Bahamas is mandating that commercial banks adopt the Sand Dollar as a CBDC. And they're thinking that it's going to boost financial inclusion. And I'm like, at a commercial level, inclusion? What does that even mean? Right? And I'm sitting here and I'm just going, I'm going to watch to see how that plays out. A lot of people don't want CBDC around the world. A lot of people do not want CBDCs. I'm not sure that that's a good idea. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out in the Bahamas. Again, it's commercial. It's at the commercial level. But you have to think, if they're forcing at the commercial level, that might actually bleed into the retail level. Like, not all commercial activities happen in commercial banks. There are some banks that are mainly retail that perform some commercial services. So it could bleed over. So we'll see how that plays out in the Bahamas, because that could be telling as to how it plays out in the rest of the world. TeraWulf, now they're a Bitcoin miner, but they have a huge energy program to keep them a bit green. They're looking to take that program from 210 megawatts to 295 megawatts. Why? To support high performance computing and, of course, artificial intelligence. Wow. So I'm kind of like, that's not a bad move. That's not a bad move. That's a smart move if you've got a very green or very efficient energy grid that you're playing with. And they do. That's a nice way to make some extra coin. A really nice way to make some extra coin. If you're looking at stocks, you have all the technology companies, right? You have all the tech stocks. But then I want you to take a step back and you start thinking about, well, what else do you have? What are the pin plays from that? Well, who supports tech? Chips industry, development companies, equipment manufacturers, because all those computers don't go on the floor. They go into racks. Companies that create the cabling. All of these little pin plays exist. Well, one of those pin plays is going to be power. Your decision to actually be hosted someplace you're going to make that decision partially because of power, because of energy. How are you getting your energy? I mean, Microsoft just signed a huge carbon credit deal. Energy efficiency is huge. And as we have furthered our computing demand, this is where it's going. So TeraWulf, like I said, they're a Bitcoin miner. Expanding their grid, they're starting to realize, hey, we have a pin play opportunity here. Let's seize the moment. Very smart. Very, very smart. And then you have a Cardano game, and I'm sitting back, I started thinking about Cardano. I've been thinking about Cardano for a while. When Cardano becomes decentralized, Charles Hoskinson is going to walk away. And it's not like the project is going to die. He's the founder. I don't even think he's the lead developer anymore. You know what I mean? But that leadership hasn't really been promoted as much as they should. So is everybody ready for Charles Hoskinson to step away and go do other things? When it becomes decentralized, that's what that means. Once Cardano has been decentralized to his satisfaction, which is almost 100% decentralized, he's going to step away, and he has said so. So what happens to Cardano after that? And there's fear and FUD going around, and in my head, you want to know what I think is going to happen? I think Charles Hoskinson is going to walk away from a project that is immensely successful. Resilience, security, stability, and growth. I think Cardano will be just fine. I think it will be just fine. Now, I'm looking at all these institutions that are filing for Solana ETFs, and that probably won't happen until, at the very least, no decision gets made until March of next year, because that's when the deadline is for the SEC to make a decision. March of next year. They chose Solana. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, you chose Solana over Cardano? That's nuts. That's nuts. So I'm just wondering how that all is going to work out. Because I'm sitting back and in my head I'm going, Solana's been down. Hard. More than a few times in the past couple of years. Hard. I look at Cardano and nothing. Smooth sailing. Not to say that they can't go down, but they haven't. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying, all of this work that they're putting in right now, to grow capacity, to increase speed, to increase security, to increase resilience, to increase use case. Cardano, I think, is going to take off even more. And people are going to turn around and talk about Charles Hoskinson as if, he's already retired. And he won't be. He'll be moving on to other projects. Things that, he holds near and dear to heart. And good for him. He's awesome. But I think Cardano's going to be fine. So don't listen to that FUD out there about, Cardano, people aren't ready, da-da-da-da. They're Cardano fans. They might like Charles Hoskinson, but they're Cardano fans. I know I am. So I think Charles stepping away and introducing new blood is going to be just fine. Just fine. I think the increase in usefulness, I think the actual use of Cardano is going to grow beyond we'll call it the Hoskinson era. Yeah, we'll call it the Hoskinson era. When that comes to an end, I think Cardano is going to take off. And not because he's leaving, but because of what he did, what he and his team were able to accomplish. That's what's going to introduce the new era. So you're going to go from the Hoskinson era to the Voltaire era. That's going to be huge, and I think it's awesome. Anyway, what else do we have going on? Numbers. Normally, until I get my computer, back, because I'm on my spare, I'm just going to tell you what it is. The numbers are actually looking good. Bitcoin is up at 58.6, so not bad. Ethereum is solidly above 3,000 at 3,100. BNB, if I want to walk through this and point out what I would buy, Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana. I want you to think about this. $24. $24 is 20% because 25.6 actually, right? Basically, from 128 to 143, you 20% of your money. If you when Solana was down at 128. People are looking for, and I know I told you I'm looking for opportunities where I can gain multiples in return, but I pay acute attention to opportunities where I can make 5%, 10%, 20%. In a market that's holding, I told you the other day, until Germany goes away, I'm playing this. Why? Because I'm shaving profits. I'm able to buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. Do I always call the bottoms? Heck no, nobody can do that. Do I always call the highs? No, heck no, nobody can do that. But I'm basically playing this game. And if you play that game enough and you win enough, you begin to play with other people's money. And that's really what I want. I want to get to a point where I've got more money in the market that comes from profit than comes from principal. Yeah. Because at some point, I want to take my principal back and do something else. Remember, crypto is not the only investment, vehicle that you should be involved in. You should also look at other investment vehicles. Owning a business, real estate, right? Stocks, bonds, options, treasuries, all these things. Those are all opportunities for investment. I care about investment. Grow My Bag is about investment, not just crypto. Me personally, I happen to be deep into crypto, but I also own businesses. I also own stocks. My stock portfolio isn't as big as my crypto portfolio, but I own. Just saying. Anyway, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to become a member because members get benefits. And invite your friends. Have a good one. Bye-bye.